Hey CBC, I know it's fun and popular to complain about quarantine, but I want to share something that I'm thankful for in the midst of this, that I get along with my wife. If you're married, how are you doing with all this togetherness? I'm thinking maybe the Panamanian officials were like brilliant, making us go out on different days, creating just a bit of separateness. Thankfully, good, loving marriages don't have to be perfect marriages. Sue and I were blessed beyond measure to have good marriage role models in our parents and extended family. Now, my parents' marriage certainly was not perfect. They had some very difficult times, but they sent a consistent example of returning to love. After one of their arguments, it could feel like someone had left the doors and windows open on a winter day. The house became emotionally chilly and quiet. And then one of them would climb out of their trench and bravely walk right towards enemy lines. Sometimes this started with something as simple as a hand placed on a very cold shoulder. I can picture my mom standing at the kitchen sink, tight-lipped, pretending to do the dishes, and Dad coming up and putting his arms around her and just standing there till she thawed. Or after angry words had passed between them, Mom would go out of her way to fix a wonderful meal for Dad, or just start reminiscing, and then they'd laugh, and then it was mended. It didn't seem to matter for them whose fault it was. One of them would just take that first step. It worked because they both did it habitually. God's favorite metaphor for his relationship with his people is marriage. In the Old Testament, God is often pictured as the faithful, loving husband pursuing the unfaithful and rebellious wife. Sin and idolatry are called adultery. Just read the book of Hosea if you want to understand how far God will go in returning to love. Well, this imagery is continued by the Apostle Paul in Ephesians chapter 5. After speaking of how husbands must love their wives and wives must respect their husbands, he writes, "This is a profound mystery, but I'm talking about Christ and the church." Now, when we apply biblical metaphors to real-life marriage, it's essential to remember that God is perfect and husbands are not. Both men and women fail, and both share the responsibility for returning to love. Jesus gives us a great pattern for this in Revelation 2, 4 through 5. In speaking to his bride, the church at Ephesus, he says, "You have forsaken the love you had at first. Consider how far you have fallen. Repent and do the things you did at first." It's a message for the church, but it can also be a great motto for marriage. Remember, repent, return. Remember, repent, return. Remember what your love has been. Repent, that means to head in the other direction, like back towards your spouse. And then return to the actions that display love and respect for your partner. Well, I hope you're getting through this all right as a married couple. And God bless you. Take care.